Let's go to Jeremy here in Washington, D.C. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello. Thank you, C-SPAN. Thank you to Washington Journal for this perfect show. I call with a heart full of pain, and so, Steve, you have to listen to me. I assume what most folks do not realize, I hope your guest will elaborate on that, is that ISIS is not a formidable threat that is run by Muslim zealots. No, it is not even a group. ISIS is an ideology. It is a thought that has been produced, legitimized, spread, preached, and defended by an ally called the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They slit throats, they stone people, they cut off hands. They are the real Islamic State, Saudi Arabia. They have made it. I mean, let me tell you something which happened yesterday. A 6 years old boy named Zakaria Al-Jaber was beheaded in front of his mom, screaming, by a taxi driver using hard shard of glass. He was only 6 years old. Mirror has it, Daily Star has it, Daily Telegraph has it, Daily Mail has it, but you know what? It barely touched news headlines here in the U.S. Why? I don't know. But as an American, I am ashamed that our administration shakes hands with a murderous and soulless kingdom that has given rise to this kind of madness, not to mention a 4 years long conflict in Yemen that has devastated that country and has killed about 90,000 innocent children and has put millions on the verge of starvation, and not to mention the bone-sawing and butchering of an American journalist, Jamal Khashoggi. Why don't we do something about them? Why don't we stop genuflecting to the Saudis? Why don't we really deal with this madness once and for all? Only because Saudis are our allies? It doesn't make sense. It sounds ridiculous. So as I said, ISIS is an ideology. And also stop frequently declaring ISIS defeated for your side of politics. It's got to stop.
Thank you, Jeremy. We'll get a response.
To Jeremy's point, it is much easier to kill a terrorist than it is to slay an ideology. And I think this was actually also Dion's point, which is that, you know, how do you actually keep any of this ended? There has to be an alternative. And, you know, this is, to me, why the front lines of this fight is young people's lives, right? Young people who are on the very verge of having to decide which path they're going to choose, whose mothers I meet who are saying, listen, you know, we don't want this future for our children. You know, one young woman I met who is now with the all-women security forces, because this is another story that has come out, really emerged in northeast Syria in the past several years, is the role of women. And not just Kurdish women, but also Arab women who are really out on the street taking all kinds of roles that they perhaps wouldn't have taken even just prior to ISIS, but certainly not under ISIS times. And one young woman we met, you know, her brother joined ISIS, forced her to marry an ISIS fighter, and she was brutalized by him. She ended up basically being brutalized by a number of ISIS fighters, and then finally, years later, getting back to her home in Raqqa, and she was given the choice to go home or, you know, go wherever she wanted, and within northeast Syria. And she said, "I want to go be part of this women's force." And when I looked at her, and I was stunned, and I said, "You know, all you survived, all you lived through, you know, all of that brutality, like what possibly gives you the courage to be here today in this all-women's force?" And she looked at me and she just said, "You know, ISIS," she said, "those guys took everything from me. They took everything from me. And I don't want the next generation to have to deal with this too. We have to stop this."
The Daily Mail, by the way, has the story that the caller referred to on that 6-year-old boy in Saudi Arabia. You can get the details on the Daily Mail website. Let's go to Gary joining us from East Brunswick, New Jersey. Good morning.